Welcome everyone to our last expedition talk of this 2025 summer season from Amarok Adventures. As I was saying, we are gonna cover over the following hour and a half-ish, more or less, all the questions that you have sent us over the last few days. It would be great if you come up with more questions, or if by the end of these online talk you get to see that we haven't covered something specific, that you could drop those questions on the Q&A box, not on the chat, but on the Q&A box from Zoom, and we can answer them live. All right. So this expedition talk in particular is about your next adventure with us. That is the forbidden coast of East Greenland. That is one of our newest adventures, but we have been guiding in there for quite a while. And it's definitely one of the most impressive and adventurous trips that we guide so far. For those who do not know us very well, we know that bunch of you have traveled with us in the past, mainly in Iceland or the Faroe Islands. We have a couple of new faces joining us today. So we are Monica and Albert. Very nice to seeing you all connected here. We have this tiny Icelandic travel agency, small business called Amarok Adventures, and we are basically focused on hiking and backpacking trips in the Arctic and Antarctic regions, although we always combine them with a little bit of sailing or with more expedition style, like this one in Greenland. As a side note, we like to say that we do not consider ourselves to be a regular travel agency. We think more of Amarok as a guiding company, because we are a small company led by guides and managed by certified guides. So as you can get to see down there, both of us, we belong to the Association of Icelandic Mountain Guides. Then Monica belongs to the International Mountain Leader Association, and we are part of the Knowles Wilderness Medicine. And since last year, we are considered to be senior polar guides by the PTGA, the Polar Tourism Guides Association. And of course, apart of all of that, we have quite a little bit of experience trying to be humble in here, of more than a decade guiding in the mountains here in the Arctic, and bringing groups to several locations, including, as I said, Iceland, Faroe Islands, Greenland, Baffin Island, Patagonia, and more. So yeah, I'm gonna give the mic to Monica. So whenever you're ready, you can start.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Well, we are here for talking about Forbidden Coast of East Greenland. This is amazing, and it is an amazing adventure, exploration, 11 days, and in an expedition sailboat. It's a very, very nice sailboat where we are gonna live all these days. And yeah, that's it. This is our next adventure in September. About the daily hiking, we are gonna be hiking between 10-25 kilometers. That is 15 miles, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And the elevation gain will be around 700 and 1,000 meters. That is around 2,300, 3,300 feet. And this is our terrain in Greenland. Most of this terrain is covered by glaciers, but we are gonna walk mostly in the valleys. So we are not gonna be inside glaciers, but of course, we can see the glaciers from the valley, so it is an amazing. We'll have an amazing and stunning views. And this kind of terrain is very rocky with a lot of alpine plants and tundra vegetation. That is the common vegetation in Iceland, in Greenland, sorry. And so it's full of mosses, lichens, and alpine plants everywhere. So sometimes we'll have, uh, well, sometimes maybe once we can find a trail, but usually we don't have trails. So we are gonna navigate the terrain as we can, and that's something that is amazing in Greenland. I love it. I love navigate this kind of terrain without any trail. So you'll see that it's amazing. And yeah, this is about the terrain, elevation gain, and kilometers every day.
Cool. Thank you, Monica. So yeah, so we could say that this is not your average tour that you would join for sightseeing or adventuring anywhere else because it's, as Monica said, very different to everything else that we are normally used to see. Greenland has no trails, and the weather has always the last word on this region of the world. So because of that, we do not have a fixed route. The itinerary is not set in stone at all. You should not expect to visit any particular fjords. What you should expect definitely it's 100% exploration trip. For the last years that we have been going to Greenland, what we have experienced is that every group, each group, they have a completely different itinerary, and we are always able to do very different trails. Sometimes we do new trails. Most of the time, we try to do the ones that we know that are stunning or that they get the group to get to see an amazing view over the fjords and stuff like that. What you definitely can expect is to go hiking every day, as much as we can. As Monica was mentioning, we are going to be spending all our time in Greenland in the boat on Bir, that it's going to be our floating base camp for the entirety of the trip. This is actually good because we don't have any kinds of roads or very good accommodations along East Greenland. So moving by boat is basically essential. So this boat, as I said, it's going to be our base camp. We are going to be traveling on it and getting to a fjord, going hiking for the entire day, and then come back in the evening and sleeping inside. And then as a complementary activity, we are going to try to do kayaking. On the fjords, we are going to talk about kayaking afterwards, so don't worry about it. There is one thing that we need to mention because we got a lot of questions about it, and it's mainly about the arrival day and departure days. But basically, just to give you folks an idea, we both will arrive in Greenland on September 2nd at 6:15 p.m. with Icelander. So flying from Keflavik to Kulusuk. We might be sharing our flight with some of you for sure. We know that a bunch of people you arrive also on September 1st or even before. If that happens, most likely you're gonna be spending the night in Kulusuk in the only hotel in town that it's called Hotel Kulusuk. So if I'm not mistaken and you arrive on the same, so on September 1st or with the other group and you're staying overnight in the hotel one day before, you might arrive also around 6:15 of the previous day to the start of the trip. If that happens, we will meet the next day either on the airport or either in the hotel. You need to tell us what you would prefer. The place where you can meet us, it actually doesn't matter because the hotel is about 10 minutes walk from the airport anyway, on the way to town, to Kulusuk village. So don't worry about it. Like one way or another, always need to just go very close to the hotel and then continue walking towards town, towards the harbor before boarding the boat. Chances of boarding the boat before we have arrived are zero, mainly because the boat might be actually in Tasilak. That is the other biggest town in Kulusuk, closer to Kulusuk, but it's a few hours sailing away, and they're going to be just replenishing food and stuff. Um, so those arriving in the morning of sorry, on the evening of the previous day, you can meet us on the evening of the day that the trip starts at 6:15. That would be for group number one. For group number two, we have for the first time a lot of people traveling through Nuuk, through the capital. If you are flying through Nuuk, you will arrive very early in the morning. That means that we can pick you up that same morning, transfer you to the boat. You can chill a little bit, and then when everyone else is of group two arrive, um, we can just pick them on. We will spend the first dinner on board. Hope that makes sense. We know it's a little bit complicated, but the time schedule for flights this year has been a little bit different. Way different. Last year, everyone was arriving around 11 a.m. But this year, everyone arrives around 6:15 p.m. So it's a little bit different. But it's definitely better than 2026 because so far, 2026, we might get no more flights coming from Iceland, but just through Nuuk. So Copenhagen, Nuuk, Kulusuk. There's going to be a longer flight, definitely. But anyway, what is more important, and we know that that's quite a lot of confusing information right now, and you might be thinking like, oh, so if I arrive at this time, at what time am I gonna be picked up? Don't worry, because 10 days before your trip starts, we are gonna send you all an email with detailed information about when we are gonna pick you up and where we are gonna pick you up. Okay, so don't worry about it. As Monica was mentioning, we are gonna be spending all our nights and dinners and breakfast on board BID. That it's gonna be our expedition sailboat, and we are gonna be sharing rooms, of course. We have two rooms of four people each with bunk beds, and then we have two rooms for the crew. On board as well, we have two toilets, one dining room with plenty of books for those days that we might be just sailing for a few hours or just for resting after a long day of hiking or just telling stories. There is this nice activity we like to do on board that is just after dinner, reading some grotesque and kind of like weird Greenlandic legends that we have a book of Greenlandic legends on board, and it's a good activity to do all together. They tend to be very weird and involve a lot of you'll see a lot of elements from Greenlandic nature and animals and people. But it's good. It's part of the Greenlandic culture, so it's very good. And then of course we can share some local knowledge. Sometimes we have Evik, that it's a Greenlandic kid that joins the boat for a few days, and you can ask him some stuff. We don't know if it's going to happen this year because he has taken a new job on a fishing boat, but hopefully he will be able to join us at least for a few days, at least for a dinner or something. But yeah, we are gonna have two toilets, one dining room. We are gonna have one shower, but we are going to have limited water. Okay, so one of the biggest differences that we have with BID, or not with BID, maybe with East Greenland, is that we don't have a proper harbor where you can dock the boat and plug to to the electricity coming from the harbor or to refill water. So the boat has this reverse osmosis system. So the boat itself is making water using the seawater straight from the ocean. So we have drinkable water thanks to that, thanks to the system. However, the tank is not extremely big, meaning that we need to save some water. You can take showers, that's for sure. It is always good to say that you cannot take a 15-minute shower. You can definitely take a 5-minute shower in the evenings. You'll see that in Greenland, because of temperatures, you don't get to sweat that much. So at the end, because of the cold of the environment in the evenings outside, you prefer not to take that shower. But still, if you want, you can take shower. But just keep in mind that we have limited water. We have plenty of chances to recharge devices on board, but we have no Wi-Fi or no connectivity most of the time. We do have connectivity when we are closer to towns, like for example, Kulusuk, Tasilak, or Kumut. But once we are in secluded fjords, that it's pretty much 80% of the time, we have no internet or phone connectivity at all. The only one that has some phone connectivity is the captain that has it with the satellite phone, just to check weather forecast and stuff. But you have plenty of chances to recharge devices on board. Okay, so as long as the generator is on, you can just plug your cameras, phones, any kinds of electronic devices. Nevertheless, it's good also to bring some battery packs. So, I mean, nowadays you have this battery packs that they have about like what, like 10 charges or something like that. They cost almost nothing, and they are the size of a kind of like a phone. So you can easily get one of those to be on the safe side in case you need to recharge and there's no extra space. Or if you forgot to recharge and you want to bring your phone to a hike and recharge on the way. Um, then, of course, the boat has also a dinghy boat. That is this small dinghy boat on the side on the picture in the slide. That one it's gonna be all right for getting to the trails and for getting to the towns. So as I said, the boat is never gonna be docked in any harbor because East Greenland has literally no harbors at all. Okay. Um, the crew normally it's made by one captain. That it's either Siki here in the picture or Anuka. They are a couple. They own the boat, and most of the time, or at least the last few these last few years, we have been sailing with Siki because Anuka is back in Finland for different work. Um, so normally it's always Siki who is joining us. Then we have also a first mate that has been changing over the last few years, depending on who's available to come with us, and then two sailors that you might recognize those two familiar faces that are basically both of us. Um, we are both certified sailors nowadays, and we are in charge of safety. While they're basically in charge of sailing and cooking, we are mainly in charge of safety. Well, they are in charge of cooking. Yes, we know that you that have traveled with us, you love our cooking, but this time we are more focused on guiding you on land and in charge of safety on board. So they are in charge of cooking, but good stuff. They are great cooks. And talking about food, I'm gonna give Monica the word. So Monica, stage is yours.
Okay. So yeah, as Alberto said, in Greenland we are not gonna cook because we have good cooks on board. Siggy is a very good cook. Is the captain, and the photo on the right. and he makes delicious meals, especially in the evenings. And also the crew, they make the bread in the mornings. So all the boat smells bread, fresh bread, and coffee in the mornings is very nice. And so, yes, we have you have all the meals included from day 1 to day 11. As you know, drinks not included, just the coffee, tea, and juice we have on the boat. And about breakfast and dinner, usually we do it in the boat every morning and every night when we come back from the hike. And lunches are on the way. So usually during the breakfast or after breakfast, we bake our own sandwiches for the day for hiking, and that's it. About maybe wine and beer. Maybe you are thinking about this. May probably you can buy something in some supermarket, maybe in Kulusuk, if you arrive the day before or the same day do you arrive. If you want to buy, uh, I don't know, beer, wine, or other kind of sodas or whatever. If it's open, you can buy there. Sometimes they have different schedules for opening and closing, but it depends the day. But we'll see. Probably we can find some supermarket the first day, or maybe if we stop at some village on the way, but you never know. So it's better if in Kulusuk the supermarket is open, you can buy everything there for the rest of the journey. So yeah, this is about food and meals and requirements for following this trip. It's being able to hike 20 kilometers, 30 miles for several days, carrying your day pack. It is very nice because we can leave everything on the boat, so we just have to carry water, the lunch bag, and or clothes for the day. Probably we can refill water on the way, some streams coming from the glaciers and the mountains. So it's very nice if we can refill water during the hike. But of course, it's very important that you start hiking with at least 1 liter of water. Some people prefer to start with 2 liters, so this is very personal. But of course, it's up to you. And about elevation gains, we are gonna move over 900 meters elevation gain. That is 2,950 feet. And also, it's very important being able to live on board an expedition sailboat for the whole trip. And of course, to serve the facilities because we are, well, a bunch of people inside the sailboat and we have a small space for everyone. So sometimes we have to be patient with others. Sometimes we have to wait for the shower, or sometimes we have to wait for dinner because maybe someday is late because we were hiking 25 kilometers that day, and dinner is going to be a little bit late because Siggy was sailing that day a little bit too much, and also he's going to cook, but it's a little bit late. So all these things sometimes make us a little bit like waiting and waiting. So that's why we have to be patient because nothing is fixed in this kind of adventures. And we depends on the weather, depends on the day, depends on the group, if something happens along the way. So it's very important being flexible, able to adapt to any situation. And if something happens, being flexible just to adapt your mind to the new situation and flow with it. And the most important thing is flow with everything. That's adapting yourself to every situation. That's the best. So yeah, those are the most important requirements for this adventure. And well, of course, weather conditions are always something very important, and especially in Greenland. Uh, when we are there is fall season. That means that it's super beautiful. All the colors are amazing, orange, brown, a lot of blueberries, cranberries, a lot of berries on the ground. And it's very nice because when you arrive in Greenland in September, uh, it's very surprising because the skies are very nice. Usually we have sunny days. Sometimes we have foggy or rainy days, but the rain is not so heavy, so it's a light rain. And it's very nice most of the time. So it's cold, of course, but we have to say that it's a dry cold. So if you have proper layers and a down jacket, it's very easy to be warm. Uh, Even if you are hiking or if you are in the boat, because sometimes, as you know, we have northern lights in September in Greenland almost every day. So the sky is clear, and usually we don't have a light pollution anywhere. Um, we can see very amazing northern lights. So it's very important to have with you a very good puffy jacket, just in case we have to stay in the night on deck waiting for the northern lights. And during the hike, we are going to carry everything with us, all the rain jackets, waterproof jackets, pants, and all the warm clothes, just in case. Sometimes the weather changes fast, but usually we have very stable days, steady weather, and it's very nice in general. And talking about gear and duffel bags, that's an important point. Uh, because apart from the good puffy jacket, maybe you are gonna need, of course, good boots um, with stud soles and uh, gloves, of course, hats, Gore-Tex jacket, pants, thermal layers, and well, if you are used to cold weather, is you know what to bring with you. You have been in Iceland, it's very similar, but a little bit colder. So you're going to need a better puffy jacket than in Iceland, or a better puffy jacket than in Faroe Islands, this kind of things. And but you have the gear lists on the PDF, so you can read everything there. And if you have any question about equipment, you have to carry to Greenland, just ask and through email, and we can answer you as soon as possible. Okay. And about duffel bags, it's very important because they fold easily than other kind of suitcase, and of course they fit easily everywhere. Even if we have a small space, duffel bags are always good to be in your rooms, close to your bed, or underneath the beds, or whatever. But it's always better duffel bags than suitcase. And of course, hiking poles are highly recommended because the terrain, well, it's not easy, and sometimes we have a lot of holes underneath the tundra vegetation. It's better to have some poles to help you to keep going. Sometimes we are gonna climb some peak or some summit. So downhill is very nice to have them. It helps you a lot. And so we always recommend hiking poles. And all the stuff you think you are gonna need in a cold weather and sunny days in the Arctic. So that's it. And don't forget sunglasses, sunscreen, and all these things to be protected from the sun.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so the terrain that you can expect, as we mentioned before, is very uneven, unmarked trails or basically non-existent trails. We have plenty of boulders, rocks, as well as ice, and as Monica said, holes under these tundra. So it's very good to always bring the hiking poles. And then on the picture of the left that you get to see these two ladies, it is very important. And we got a question like, do we really need to have like a very good puffy jacket? Well, just think that we are going to be sailing as well. So not only hiking out in the mountains. And therefore, you need to have a good puffy jacket for being able to stay outside or up on deck. Otherwise, if you're all the time down below deck on the dining room or in your room, you might get a little bit seasick when we are sailing. So it's good to be trying to be outside as much as you can. So it's definitely essential to have a good puffy jacket, good beanie, good baklava or buff, mittens, gloves, and all the thermal layers that you can bring. It's gonna be cold. We're not gonna lie about it. It's gonna be cold. Then polar bears, that we have gotten quite a few questions about them. On the last 2 years that we have done the trip, we have never seen polar bears, but we have seen the tracks of them on the beaches or in the rocks. So they are a reality. The moment we step into the Arctic on polar bear territory, we are not apex predators anymore. They are. Okay, and they do roam those lands. So it is extremely, extremely important to always stay together while we are hiking because of them. Because you never know when they're gonna, where are they gonna be? Okay. But, however, because of this, and we know that everyone on both groups probably want to get to see a polar bear in the distance, we as well. We all well, we know that you all want to get to see them and we as well, but it's always good to, I mean, it's better not to have an encounter during a trip. Okay. um You'll see that polar bears they do exist in Greenland, basically because the dinghy boat, the Zodiac, has a patch on the place where a polar bear bite it a few years ago. So the group was hiking out in the beach, in a very young polar bear came and was inspectioning the dinghy boat, and at some point decided to give it a try and try to taste the dinghy and made a big hole on it. The captain managed to scare the polar bear. Because of the bears, you might have seen the pictures from previous years, but when we are with the group out in the field, we are always armed. We carry two firearms with us, two rifles. And just for you to know, we both are experienced on shooting, and we know we are trained, and we have been most importantly trained on non-lethal techniques for polar bears. So at the end, the rifles are always the last resort, because the goal is to protect as much as we can these fantastic animals. Okay, but they're for safety, so we always carry these firearms half loaded, so that means that the bullets are not in the chamber, ready to be shot. They are just waiting for us to reload, and then only in case anything happens or there's an attack, we can just respond properly. We will talk once you arrive on the boat about firearms, but of course, I think there's no need to say that we are the only ones, along with captain and first mate, to use these tools. Okay, nobody else. What to expect about this Greenland trip? Well, first of all, we gotta say sorry because we have been doing quite a lot of spoilers of what you're gonna get to see during the trip. But what you can get to expect basically is this rocks and ice everywhere. You're going to get to see some of the most beautiful landscapes for sure that you're going to get to see anywhere else. So get ready for that. But our daily routine, it's going to be mainly always the same around 8 a.m. breakfast and 7:30 p.m. dinner. And you might be saying, like, yeah, but I'm an early bird. I want to have my coffee at 6 a.m. Well, breakfast is made by the captain, and captain needs his hours to sleep, of course. So when he wakes up, he just makes bakes bread, makes coffee, and gets everything ready. Some days we might have pancakes, some days we might have porridge, but we are gonna get plenty of everything. As Monica was saying before, it is important not to take this as a fixed rule because sometimes we might, I don't know, a few years ago, for example, uh, we were hiking, came back to the boat and kept this, and so there is a storm coming, so we need to start pushing quite hard and start sailing to get to a secluded or a little bit more sheltered bay area. So we are gonna arrive around 8:30 ish. So that day we had dinner a little bit later. Okay. But sometimes it might be right the opposite. Like, hey, we need to make some mileage in the morning. So instead of just having breakfast at 8 a.m. to wake up, get some coffee, we'll be ready. And then when we arrive, we will have some breakfast all together, maybe around 9 a.m. or something. So again, it is very important to have a flexible mind when coming to an expedition like this. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is set in stone. It is very important to be able to adapt to whatever nature throws to us and whatever the weather or the situation throws at us. Some days might be focused on full hiking. We might just be stuck on a fjord for 2 or 3 days, and we might take you to amazing hikes around to get to see some amazing viewpoints over the glacier, over the fjords, over the ice cap. Some days we might need to do some full mileage with the boat, so we might need to just be full sailing and contemplating the beautiful fjords and the icebergs passing by. Some days we might just need to be full standby, waiting with some drinks and waiting for a storm to pass. And ideally, some days we are gonna do some half hiking, half kayaking. But as I said, ideally this would be a combination of all of it. So hiking most part of the day, then sailing either in the evening or in the morning. Then some days we will go kayaking and some bays, and then of course stand by with some good beers after good days of hiking. At the end, it depends mainly on the weather or in the sea ice. You're not going to be traveling with a car, with a bus, nor staying on hotels. So you're going to be staying on a floating base camp on the boat. So we need, again, to be very, very flexible about it. But the idea is to do as much as we can to spend as much time outdoors as we can. And we have been, and I can say pretty much successful with this for the last few years that we have been doing the trip, but you never know what is gonna come. For example, last year, we got amazing weather during the whole trip, and it was super great, to be honest, super super great. However, we had a problem that it was that we never got any breeze, we never got any wind, meaning that most of the fjords were completely clogged with iceberg, with big, massive icebergs. Mainly one of the well, Sermilik Fjord, was completely clogged, and that's a very scenic uh, iceberg highway, we could say. And because of that, we were never able to sail through that fjord. That is very impressive, but we were able to get to see it from the kayaks and from up in the mountains. So it was good. Kayaks kayaking can only be done in this secluded bay, so not in open seas. The boat carries all the equipment for doing kayaking except um, dry suits. That means that we are not going to be able to do like long traverses with the kayaks through open seas or anything like that for safety reasons. But of course, we are going to be doing kayaking a few days in very scenic places. That tiny kayaking person in there, that's Monica. That's Monica on one of our favorite fjords in the area. Do I need expertise or experience for going kayaking during the trip? Not really. I mean, we're gonna be sharing kayaks. So we have on board a few double kayaks and a few single kayaks. Okay. Um, so you are most likely going to be sharing the kayaking activity or the kayak with somebody else. If you do not want to do kayaking, that's fine. You can stay on board while everyone else is kayaking. So there's no need to go kayaking if you do not want to. And river crossings.
Yes, river crossings, always in this kind of landscapes. So we'll have from time to time river crossings, different depths depending on the rivers. Um, Not so many as in Iceland, if you are having in Iceland, but we never know which route we are gonna take. We never know how many kilometers we are gonna hike inside the valley. So maybe we can find some river crossings on the way. So in that case, it's very, very easy. So the steps to follow is always wait for your guide to cross. We are going to be the first ones crossing the rivers to see how it is, um, how is depth, and well, everything. So that's why it's good to have with you, to carry with you the water source just in case we have a river crossing, I don't know, or wait that day. So the second point is always wait for your guide to tell you how to cross, because sometimes we finish the crossing and then we think, okay, it was this way, that way. Maybe we can think a little bit about a little bit to the right, to the left. So always you have to wait until we give you all the tips for crossing. And then the third point is get ready to cross and find your body, because we know that usually you have someone you are more, I don't know, more maybe more comfy, more confidence. You have more confidence with some people, and this is very important for river crossings. So you can find your body. And if, of course, if it's a very difficult river crossing, probably we are going to cross with more than two people at the same time. Probably we are going to cross 4 or 5 people at the same time. So we'll see how it is. But usually with two people, same as the photo, it's okay in this kind of valleys in September. So always be brave all together, because the whole group is in the same in the same thing when we are crossing rivers. And then warm up and change clothes when we have crossed and we have finished your crossing. And it's very important change well, pants if they are wet, or sometimes if it's a sunny day, you can dry really fast. But if not, it's better to change. So it's good to have some clothes for changing later if we had some river crossing, and you can use that clothes for dry clothes afterwards. And then if the river cannot be crossed, that is a possibility, be flexible to take another plan B, because sometimes if we cannot cross, we have to turn around and do another things or cross different places. So maybe we have to walk upstream to find another place more easy to cross. So we'll see. So it's very important to be flexible as well during the river crossing. And sometimes we know that the water is cold and it's not very nice, but when you are inside the river, you feel like it's something interesting. There's something interesting there. And I love river crossings because I think the contact with the cold water is something that everyone must experience sometime. And I think it's a nice experience when you have crossed the river. At the end, you think that, oh, it was nice. It was cold, but it was nice. So I think it's a good thing. And about expectations, of course, expect long and short hikes. Some days probably we hike maybe 7, 10 kilometers because of the conditions of the weather conditions or because of the boat or whatever. Some days are going to be long days, maybe 20, 23 kilometers, because sometimes we cross entire valley that take us probably the whole day, so it's a long day. And expect rocky, icy, and uneven terrain. As I told you before, the tundra vegetation and the rocky landscape is it's not easy to walk. So sometimes we have to walk slowly. Sometimes we can run a little bit more if we have just rocks. But when there is a mix of vegetation and rocks, that's more complicated. And expect steep hikes and non-existent trails. So yes, it's very nice to navigate through a terrain, but sometimes it's also difficult and tiring. So, but that's the adventure, and epic adventure are like this. So we're happy to have this background for hiking in Greenland. And of course, about the Northern Lights, can happen any night. Usually after 9 p.m. after dinner, we check the sky, and if we don't have any cloud and if the sky is clear, and usually we are not close to any village. Sometimes, yes, but usually not. So we can see very easily Northern Lights. So it's cold outside on deck, but if we wait with a very nice puffy jacket, we'll see a very beautiful Northern Lights. And if that night we couldn't see anything, and between 9 and 12 or 9 and 11, everyone is very tired and everyone goes to sleep. If someone wake up earlier or wake up for going to toilet and see something in the sky, they can tell to the rest of the group that the Northern Lights are there. So we usually do this, and it depends, of course, on weather conditions and solar storms. But I say every trip in it's Greenland, we have seen Northern Lights someday. So yes, and of course, patience is key. Be patient, bring good and warm puffy jacket, as we said before, and that's amazing with a warm cup of tea, a warm cup of herbal tea on deck or hot chocolate. We can enjoy the Northern Lights.
Cool, thank you. I'm gonna make small comment. Mark just left on the chat that 2025 is going to be the best year for Northern Lights in a decade. So let's hope for that. Let's hope that we are going to have clear skies and amazing visibility for the Northern Lights while in Greenland. Another person from the group sent us an email a few days ago asking if he should bring sleeping bag or being up on deck. and watching for the northern lights. So the boat has some how do you call it? Apart from the davets, not linens. Well, the boat has plenty of sheets that you can take up on deck and cover yourself with. However, I gotta say that it's a very good idea. If you have a tiny sleeping bag, down sleeping bag that you want to bring for being outside, it is great. I mean, it is very cold during the nights. We can tell you that. But when the northern lights happen outside, it is amazing. Probably the most beautiful northern lights that we have ever gotten to see were in Greenland the last few years. And of course, we have been on this um, time that we have been getting more and more northern lights, more and more solar activity for the last few years. And yeah, as Mark said, we are going to reach the peak this year. So fingers crossed to get to see some amazing lights. Okay. Um, the weather and the sea ice do not limit or interrupt the adventure. They define and shape it. And that's right, on even more on a trip like is Greenland, where we do not have a fixed itinerary or trip plan. The weather, the sea ice, the group are the ones shaping the adventure. So we gotta embrace everything that nature throws at us. And even though there might be one day that we do very long um, hike with not really good views because of the fog, maybe. What we can guarantee you that is that by doing that hike that day, the next day we're gonna get closer to something even better. So just embrace whatever nature throws at us. And that's it about logistics and about all meals, boat, northern lights, and weather conditions that we might find in Greenland. So over the last few days, you have been sending us these questions that we have been compiling, and now we are gonna answer them live. Of course, if you have more questions that we haven't talked about, you're welcome to drop them on the Q&A box. And after answering all of these ones, we will go over the Q&A, box from Zoom. Okay. So first of all was what are the size and dimension limits for a duffel bag? We do use 40 liters duffel bag that it's about what like 50 centimeter long. That would be like 20 inches long, more or less. Remember, we have very limited space on the boat and very limited space on the cabins. Each bunk bed has a very tiny place, either next to your feet or in the just below the bunk bed. Okay, for storing your duffel bags. So if you bring a super big wide duffel bag, it might not even fit, and it's gonna be just lying in the floor of a tiny room that you're gonna be sharing with four people. So 40 liters, it's what we use that are the Patagonia, what are they? Black hole, I think it's the model. So it's one of the smallest ones of those. We have seen bigger ones than those. You're welcome to bring those as well. So normally we have one duffel bag plus one backpack. Okay. That is the one that we normally carry on the hikes. The moment we are not in the room, normally we leave the duffel bags either on top of our beds or just below the bed. Um, and so if the boat is sailing, at least everything is not gonna be just moving inside the room from one side to another. If there's a little bit of rocky sea and quite a lot of swell, so it's good to have everything safe and secure. What are my chances of getting seasick? Shall I bring Dramamine or patches? Um, in general, out of the 11 days sailing in Greenland, we normally get at least one day sailing in open sea. And the moment we go out on the open sea, it tends to be a little bit rocky. Otherwise, pretty much all fjords are very stable and quiet. and waters are very still. So it's super nice sailing on this in this fjords. But however, if we get some storm or strong winds, it might be right the opposite feeling. So it's good to just to be on the safe side, so it doesn't make any bad to bring some Dramamine, some patches, some seasickness pills for facing this potential situation. Okay. For insurance purposes, is it safe to declare that this does not involve mountaineering? In Greenland, there are no trails. In Greenland, you're going to go up to the mountains. That means that insurances can interpret this as mountaineering. Okay. So it is very, very important to have travel insurance that covers that covers mountaineering. We are never going to get to 2,000 meters over sea level or anything like that. And we are not going to intentionally go on the glacier for doing a glacier activity. But maybe at some point we need to cross a glacier on our way down to the boat, like it has happened on the last few years, that we have needed to go and carry a little bit of glacier gear with us for the trail of that day, just to be able to cross a section of the valley that it's covered on glacier. So in that case, we bring glacier gear with us, and you're required to go with spikes and helmets that we will provide. Okay, it is never 100% sure if you're gonna do that or not, but it's good to have an insurance that covers mountaineering just in case. How warmly we need to dress while hiking in Greenland? So temperatures in Greenland in the end of the summertime can be around 2 Celsius to 10 Celsius during the day. Monica, you can correct me maybe.
Yeah,
I think
7-10.
yeah, 7-10 more or less. So just yeah, so it would be an average of 7 or 5 Celsius to 10 Celsius average during the day. But just keep in mind that if we have windy conditions, if we have rain, if we have fog, temperatures might drop. We might get some sleet as well, maybe some snow up in the mountains. I mean, it's just the end of the summer, so it's good to have layers at the end. So it's very important to dress pretty much like an onion. You have plenty of layers all the time. So good warm clothing, good waterproof clothing is essential, 100%. No matter if we are going to be sailing, if we are going to be kayaking, hiking, you need to have warm gear. Just to give you an idea on how do we dress normally, we use thermal layer, upper layer, and down for our legs. Then we use fleece jacket and a Gore-Tex jacket that we use as a windstopper or waterproof jacket, of course, for the time that we are hiking. But then we are always carrying with us on the backpack or day pack puffy jacket. Okay, so it's very important, even if it's very warm outside, to carry that puffy jacket, because you never know what can happen. A few years ago, we were with a group and we had to stop for a very long period of time in one location. People who never brought to the hike a puffy jacket, they really missed it, and they were just cursing their past themselves for not putting that puffy jacket inside the backpack that day. So it's better to be over prepared than under prepared always. I want to hike at my own pace, whether faster or slower than the group, but obviously stay together over the long haul. So long story short, no, you cannot. I know that the person who made this question, it's a super, super good hiker. And we both know that this person could easily hike at a different pace for sure than a regular group. But what we were mentioning before is that we do have polar bears in Greenland. And because of safety, we cannot have one person hiking faster or way far away from the group or behind. So we have polar bears. That means that we have two guides armed with firearms uh, with the group at all time. Can we split the group in two? No, once again, because as we said before, the trails are unmarked or they are non-existent, um, and we cannot have two groups at all, just in different locations trying to reach the same place. Okay, so we are going to go all together, and we need to hike together at all times. While kayaking, do we wear a dry or wetsuit? No, as we were mentioning before, the boat does not have dry or wetsuits. We know that there are other trips that they provide wet, dry, or wetsuits, but those trips are more intended to be for mainly kayaking or long kayaking expeditions for quite a while. We are gonna do kayaking as a secondary activity, so not as the main. And we're always gonna do kayaking in smaller bays or secluded bays, so places where we have less chances of falling from the kayak into the water, or it's safer to kayak in there. So we are never gonna do like long traverses on kayaks. Okay. Are mosquitoes a problem? Should we bring insect repellent or head nets? Mosquitoes are a problem in July and early August in Greenland. In September, we have no mosquitoes in Greenland, so no need to bring any of those. How often can we shower on the boat? Any chance of doing laundry on the boat? Uh, as we said before, we have limited water on board because the boat doesn't have a tank that they fill up on the harbors with a pipe. So the boat has the reverse osmosis system that turns seawater into fresh water. And that means that we have less water than a regular boat that it's normally sailing in Iceland or in other parts of the world where they can just dock, plug a pipe into the boat and refill with fresh water straight from the harbor. You still can take showers every night, but it's important to keep them short. In Greenland, as we were saying, it is not that hot, so you're not going to be sweating a lot. So you can have a shower, a short shower if you want, but some people just prefer just to take a shower every 2 days, every 3 days, and that's good enough. Trust us. Any chances of doing laundry on boat? You can do laundry on board. That's a possibility. We do not have laundry or a place for doing proper laundry because those part of the boat are used for the crew and for cleaning sheets and blankets and stuff. But if you want to wash some underwear or some t-shirts, you can do that on the sink on the toilets. However, we gotta say that the chances of drying all of them might be limited because of the temperatures in Greenland. Yeah, the boat is gonna be warm, very warm, under deck, but still it's gonna create some humidity. So you can do it. We would recommend you waiting for a good day of sunny conditions to try to dry everything outside. Um, Otherwise, you might need to just put your wet underwear and t-shirts on the engine room, and that can be turn out to be a little bit smelly afterwards. So it's better to try to avoid doing a lot of laundry. And what happens if I have an accident while hiking? Do we have access everywhere? No. So if you have an accident and you cannot walk and we need to call for a helicopter, there are no rescue teams in Greenland. That means that the police needs to charter helicopter that normally comes from a company that does sightseeing or transportation of regular clients, like regular tourist visitors or locals. That means that the helicopter ride is going to cost quite a lot. Also, if you have an accident and you request a helicopter, we request a helicopter because you cannot move. Um, it might take a few hours to arrive because they never have one helicopter ready for whatever happens. Those helicopters they are intended for transportation. They might take quite a while to arrive to the location where we are. So it is extremely important to have a good travel insurance in case something happens. Okay. Um, in case there would be an accident, you would, let's say, you break a leg and you need to be taken by a helicopter. You would go straight to the hospital in Tasiilaq. Then it might take a few days for you to be able to fly back home. So it is on the, of course, the medical expenses in Greenland. They have a quite high price, so it's good to have um, uh, good travel insurance. Okay. Of course, we as guides, we are gonna always try to aim to mitigate the chances of you having an accident. But of course, accidents happen to any of us. You might slip on a rock, or you might just fall while hiking because your boot gets entangled with a root. So it's good to take things easy while hiking in Greenland. You're on holidays. Remember that you don't want to be fast. You want to be safe all the time. We are arriving a few days before. How or where can we meet you? So, as we were mentioning at the beginning of the presentation, we have a bunch of people who are arriving one day before the trip. For those people, it basically depends if you are from the group number one or the group number two. If you arrive or if you belong to group number one and you arrive one day before the trip starts, we might not be there because we arrive on September 2nd. So we will meet the day that we arrive. We can pick you up either at the airport or at the hotel in Kulusuk. Both options are 100% valid. Um, for the people arriving on the second group or belonging to the second group, since we are going to be already there, if you arrive the day before, we are going to still meet the day that the trip starts. But we can meet you in the morning and we can transport you to the boat in the morning. But in any case, again, we will send you all 10 days before the trip an email with all the details for the trip. Okay, for pickup, location, and meeting. Do not expect also for those arriving before. Do not expect Kulusuk to be super big. It is very very small village. It has a tiny museum that only opens under request. So normally that's something we like to do the last day of the trip. And then you can walk from the hotel to the village. It's like 10-15 minutes walk on a road, gravel road. But there's nothing more around yet. Nothing at all. And okay, more questions. We have a bunch of Q&A that you've been asking over the talk. So we are gonna talk about them now. But of course, if you turn out to have any questions after the meeting is over, you can always send them to us by email to info@amarok.is. Okay, so do we need to bring any special adapters to recharge USB devices? So the kind of plugs that we have on board are the Type C, the regular one in Europe. So it's this one of, we don't have any plug in here, but it's basically these two rounded holes, okay? So it's the Type C to recharge. So that's the one that you plug, and to those you need to put the USB. uh, device to plug into the plug. Um, can we fill our water bottles on the boat before the hike? Yes, absolutely. You can fill them up on the boat before the hike. You can fill them up after the hike as well. There was another question that came yesterday on the Hidden Trails trip that I think is worth to mention in right now in here. So it's also good to bring some electrolytes for the trip. Also, because the water on the boat, as it comes from reverse osmosis, so it was before seawater and turns into fresh water, is good to. It always has that slight taste of salty, but it's very, very tiny, very, very tiny. It almost doesn't taste like salty water, but still, it's good to just pour a pill of electrolytes on it and being able to drink that along the day. Do we need to bring a water filter? It is not needed at all. All the water source in Greenland that is fresh water and running water, it's clean. Uh, we do not get a lot of animals around. Arctic foxes, yes. We do get as well. Well, polar bears, of course, and closer to town, we have plenty of dogs. But we are not going to be hiking on terrain that is full of sheep or cow or any other kind of farm animal. So all the streams are super, super clean and come straight from the mountains and from the glaciers. Should I plan to bring seasickness mats? That's something that we have already spoke about. But in short, yes, it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. So it's good to bring just a set of pills, just in case. In our case, for example, both me and Monica, we do never get seasick when we are sailing, but we get seasick if we have this mess. So it depends on each person as well. Okay. So yeah, let's if you have had previous experience, good experience with these mats, then go ahead. Should we always bring water shoes on the hikes? It is always good unless we're gonna go to that summit and we know that there's gonna be no river crossings. Then it's you can basically leave them on board on the boat, but it would be nice to bring a light pair of water shoes just in case, because sometimes we need to cross big rivers. That normally happens, as Monica was saying before, on the big wide valleys rather than going uphill. Should I bring microspikes? No, we will provide the microspikes in case we need them. So you do not need to bring microspikes. Don't worry about it. And do the duffel bags need to be waterproof? Um, it is highly recommended. It is not necessary because you are not going to have leaks inside the boat or anything like that. But just in case, for example, the day that you arrive is raining and we need to move the duffel bag from the airport to the harbor, and then until we get there, we are waiting. Well, the duffel bags are waiting for us in the pier in the harbor, and they are just getting wet. Then you will prevent everything inside to get completely wet. And then same for the day that that we are going back to from the boat to the airport. That day you will need to just take your things out from the boat on the dinghy all the way to the harbor, and if it's raining, everything inside will get wet. So it's better to have a waterproof duffel bag, 100%. And should we hike with insulated boots or Simon hiking boots are okay? Um, I think summer hiking boots are okay. It's good if you have waterproof or Gore-Tex boots as the ones that we like to use personally. Um, Summer hiking boots are fine as well. So yeah, you're good with the summer hiking boots. And that's it. I don't know if we do have any more questions, anyone that you would like us to cover. The moment is now or never. Otherwise, you are very welcome to send our questions to us anytime to info@amarok.is, and we will try to answer them right away. Um, and of course, we will forward you the recording of this presentation probably tonight, more or less, or tomorrow, but probably will be tonight. If you wanna get in touch with other people arriving um, a few days before as you in Kulusuk in Greenland, and you want to meet up, well, most likely you're gonna meet up on the hotel Kulusuk, because it's the only hotel that you have in there. But otherwise, you're very welcome to send us an email or to post on the Facebook group. Either way, we can just put you in touch with more people from your group who are arriving before. And thank you very much to everyone. If we do not have more questions, then we will just end the webinar.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today with us. Everyone, and of course, see you next September in Greenland.
Thank you, everyone. Hope it was good and that you have enjoyed the presentation. We are really looking forward to seeing you all in Greenland. And yeah, have a great weekend and see you very soon. Get excited. It's happening. Bye bye.